Hello, entrepreneurs. Joe DiChara coming to you once again live from downtown Flushing, New York. And yes, I was in the eye of the pandemic. I don't know what you call this now. It's like we're in almost a slow restart, but people are coming out, restaurants are opening, and it's like 90 degrees here, and I'm sweating. So that's my story. I'm sticking with it. Happy Friday evening, everyone. I had some big plans for tonight. I had a whole presentation set up, and I was in the throes of doing it and getting it all ready. And then for some reason, I just said, you know what? I really don't feel like doing a whole big presentation tonight. And I'm not too sure. Hi, Elizabeth. I'm not too sure other people really want to hear about accounting and bookkeeping to start their weekend off. But right now, that's really all I got, besides talking about the awesome mastermind meetings I've been attending. I have my own mastermind with Joe DiChara. Let me see if I can get my banner up there. Yes, this is my new pet project, Mastermind with Joe DiChara. It's people. I'm in my zone when I'm in a mastermind, either as a participant or just in a mastermind. If I could spend all of my time in business doing one thing, it would be doing the mastermind. I know it's hard to believe that I wouldn't be doing like bookkeeping or tax returns or something like that. But for some reason, that doesn't really excite me. But some of the things that happen, the connections that make, it's really, unless you've been part of it, unless you've experienced it, it's hard to describe. It's like trying to explain what it's like going on vacation in Hawaii if you've never been there, which I've never been there. And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is because one of my clients decided to move to Hawaii, and I offered to, come and visit anytime, they feel lonely or whatever. But anyway, folks, if you don't know me and you're still watching this, you might want to check yourself. But anyway, I am a CPA working, like I said, out of New York, Flushing, New York. I am a serial entrepreneur, and I just love helping solopreneurs get their business on track. And we have a number of ways of doing that. And this is actually one of them. And, another thing, if you've been watching me, you notice that I don't have my background up, my New York or whatever. Sometimes I have the Golden Gate Bridge. Sometimes I have other cities. I don't know where I am half the time. But I felt like I wanted to do something different. And I was thinking about my friend Elizabeth, who always has some kind of, she's always somewhere. Like, I think Wednesday she was in some kind of big law library, and it looks awesome. She must get to travel a lot. Uh, but one time she actually was in her backyard, and that just threw me. So I figured, let me just not do the background tonight, just to throw people off, and that's it. That's one of the tricks I learned in marketing from my friend Craig Doswell. Just keep them guessing, keep them entertained, and it's not. Listen, that's not easy when you're talking about bookkeeping. How do you make bookkeeping fun? I don't know, but I'm going to try. Because if you look at it this way, folks, if you look at running a business, there's some things that just have to be done, whether you like it or not. There's no way around it. It's like when I was a kid, for some reason, I couldn't have my dessert unless I ate my dinner. So if the dessert was good, I would eat my dinner. But anyway, if you want to have a solid business, a good, fundamentally sound business, there is no way around having your books up to date. And if anything, it will relieve the anxiety of worrying about getting your books up to date. So I found a lot of different ways to make that as simple and painless as possible. It's like being a dentist, and you have to give people root canal. Think about that. If you're a dentist, I mean, is that who wakes up and said, I can't, I've been waiting to get my root canal done. It's so good to see you. That's not happening. And it's been a long time since I had a root canal, and I hope I never need one again. But if I do, I hope there's a dentist that makes it fun for me, or at least tries to make it fun. So one of the ways that we can make it fun is to accept the fact that it has to be done. Just like when you were a little kid, you had to brush your teeth. You had to wash behind your ears, and all of these things, these things that the grown-ups told us we had to do, and we thought, yeah, wait until I get older. I'm not doing this stuff. I'm not brushing my teeth every day. Why do I have to eat vegetables? Oh my God. Well, it's almost like that's all I eat now, vegetables, and I'm brushing my teeth like, you know. So unfortunately, they were right. Even though no matter how much I wanted them to be wrong. So if you're running a business, if you're not running a business and you're watching this, well, maybe you find me entertaining or something, but if I'm going to assume that you're running a business. And let's assume that you want to run a good business. And that means being up to date, doing your business with intention. And yeah, part of that, actually a very big part of that, has to do with the numbers and the transactions. It's not just about how much money is in my bank account. It's how much is there now, how much is coming, and also how much is going. And keeping constant track of this stuff. So the question becomes how? How can I do this stuff that I don't like doing? In fact, I might hate doing this so much that I'll put it off until the very last minute and then still not do it. And just hope that we can make something up. So how do we get over that? Well, having a basic understanding of the fundamentals of what those numbers really are, where they go, what categories do they go in. If you at least have some inkling of the mechanics, of the logistics, of the recipe for creating a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement, well, that to me is like 85% of the battle. Because once you see how really simple these things break down to, it's not as overwhelming. So let me just, once again, I'm going to share my PowerPoint presentation because I just love doing this. It's so awesome, and I'm going to take it off the mastermind with Joe DeChara because that's distracting. And like I said, the name of the show is How You Can Win a Business. And because I'm sweating and it's Friday night, this is going to be a really quick presentation. So, and you could see that my alignment is off, and this is really bothering me now because it's about organizing your business, and it's just not aligned properly, and this is a problem for me, folks. This is the kind of stuff that can drive me crazy, and that's the way, and that's part of the secret of being successful. When stupid little details like this can like throw you, but it's an example because in a nutshell, and this is why I presented this, and I don't know if the message got across, but it was something, and I have to go back to my post and what I actually called this, but something to the effect of how organizing your chart of accounts can change your life. And I'm starting to believe this. And I'm starting to believe that the time and effort that you put into organizing your business reflects on your life directly. Partly because we are solopreneurs, because everything we do is sort of like a microcosm of everything else. So if I have a messy office and a messy chart of accounts and a messy P&L and balance sheet, well, chances are I think I might have a pretty messy life. Now, I haven't seen any studies or statistics on this stuff, but I'm putting it out there. And only because, my stuff, my business, and this is the truth, folks, my chart of accounts is in order. All of my accounts are reconciled. And I'm talking about my bookkeeper. I just did my budget. And everything is according to plan. And then I look at my life, my family, my just everything. And I'm like, you know what? Everything seems to be in order. And that's the conclusion I come up to with everything, everything in life. If it's marketing, if it's a relationship, if it's putting an ad together, if it's going shopping, there's an order to everything. So if you accept that, if you accept the fact that if you want to drive somewhere, you don't, how could I put this? You don't just wind up behind the wheel of the car and drive it. You have to go out of your house, you have to unlock the car, and there's an order to this. So that is how you have to look at your business. There's no way around that. And this is, I'm going to show you some of the ways that I try to make it simple and as fun as bookkeeping could be, and just drill it into your heads that these are not complicated concepts. People get, my conclusion about business failures is that it's too damn confusing. It's complicated enough. My end, when you got to start doing, getting into tax planning and all the compliance rules and what kind of signs do you have to have up, and it's endless. And we have very little control over that. But what we do have control over is what we want to learn and how we want to go about implementing our business model. So let me see if I got this down. How you chart the accounts helps. Actually, I was trying to put helps organize your business and changes your life profoundly, but there wasn't enough space. Anyway, so there's only a couple of categories that your stuff belong in. And this is your basic, and this is how your chart of accounts is organized. So I'm just giving you the categories now instead of giving you the whole chart. So at the top of the chart are your assets, your cash, your accounts receivable, and all of that stuff. You just think of that as all the stuff I own, all the stuff that's mine, all the stuff that belongs to the business. Then we have liabilities. Now, this is the bad stuff. This is the stuff we owe people. These are the taxes, the accounts payable, the stuff that we don't want to think about. Okay, so we have assets and liabilities. And then we have this little thing called equity, which really is like equity. Okay, so that's like a number. It's the difference between your assets and liabilities. So if the more equity you have, the happier you are, because that means you've been making money. If you have negative equity, it means you're losing money. Pretty simple concept. So armed with this information, almost anybody should be able to look at a balance sheet and pretty much look at it and say, this is a good company. This is a not so good company. This is a company I want to own. You know, look, they got 10 million in assets and $3 in liabilities. You know, that's a good company. Most companies aren't like that. But if you as an entrepreneur can just get this concept down, you are light years ahead of most entrepreneurs. So that's your balance sheet. Now, a balance sheet shows you a snapshot of where your business is. Next, we get into my favorite category, which is revenue. This is one of the first things that I tell you. If without this, you don't have a business. Think about it. Without revenue, there is no business. There are no assets or liabilities. You might have liabilities, but you're not getting any assets. And unfortunately, that's what happens a lot. People wind up with a lot of debt, no revenue, and they go out of business. And hopefully this little Facebook Live is going to help people not do that. So you got to have revenue. No revenue, you don't have a business. Then you have what we call the cost of goods sold. Now this is, let's say in retail, you know, I buy a widget and then I sell it. Well, what I paid for the widget is what we call cost of goods sold. If you go into a restaurant and you buy a meal, well, the amount of money they paid, the restaurant paid for that food, is part of their cost of goods sold. So that's an expense category. And the last one is our expenses. And that's it. Every transaction you do is going to be in one or two of these categories, or more if you have, you know, some kind of multiple compound purchase, where maybe you're purchasing equipment and supplies and things that go into different categories. But basically, it's only these 6 categories that make up your entire chart of accounts. And now what I'd like to do is, again, I'm going to go through the chart of accounts. I have a basic chart, and I did this the other night, but that's okay because, you know, this is how some people learn, by just constantly. Anyway, that's how I learned. I had to see this stuff like 3,000 or 4,000 times before I really got it. But let me see. How do I? Okay. So now I'm trying to share. Okay, there we go. Stop share. And now I want to share something else. And yes, we're going to put the big screen on. And so this is the chart of accounts again. And so what I want to show you here is the top of the chart up to here. Everything, all that highlighted area are all of the assets. Okay, and that's what you usually have in a micro business, in a small business. There's not that many assets usually. And then for liabilities, now this is a chart of accounts. This is my basic chart of accounts that I used when I was using QuickBooks, because it was important to have the numbering sequence and all the accounts in order. So these accounts are all the liabilities. And that's just money that's owed: accounts payable, credit cards, taxes. And yeah, if you own the company and you loan the company money, that is shown as a loan to shareholder. And that's one of the tricks I use a lot to help with tax planning. That's a more advanced Facebook Live where I show you how to actually take expenses for stuff that you've already paid for, and write off things like your house and really cool things that nobody would ever think about. These three accounts here comprise of all the equity. So if you remember, I said that equity is really the difference between your assets and your liabilities. Now, a lot of s-corps, a lot of small businesses do not have a lot of equity in their business for the simple reason that they took it out and they own it. It's it's in their bank accounts, it's in their assets. You know, the idea isn't to build up the equity in your business. The idea is to build up the equity in your life. So, depending on where you are with your business, and I'm talking about, micro businesses here, solopreneurships. And this is how it is. And as you could say, I hope you're getting the understanding that this isn't really brain surgery. And by understanding this, I believe that it will propel people to stop procrastinating, stop putting it off. This is the line for revenue. Now, remember, there were 6 categories. I only got one line for revenue. Cost of goods sold, I have one line here. Everything else, oh no, sorry. Going too fast. So we have a couple of, so this is like a construction company. They might have materials and supplies, purchases, and subcontractors. And everything else here are expenses. So you could see that there is an order to how this is structured. And this order is the same if you're Apple computer or an ice cream truck. The balance sheet is the balance sheet. The income and expenses are there. The labels, the titles, and the accounts might change. And obviously, Apple Computer has a lot more categories and subcategories than a micro business. But the idea, the concept is the same. So what makes this such a roadblock, such a mind-altering problem for small businesses, because this is a major problem, whether you want to believe it or not. As an accountant, I could tell you that it was one of the biggest obstacles to me doing my job as an accountant, was getting people's accounting. And what we're talking about here, people, is really just information. So in the olden days, when I used to have to wait for clients to get like their bank statements and their check stubs, it was still a chore. Now today, with today's technology and armed with the information that I just gave you, that all it is, all of these transactions, everything you do in business, all have to be entered into a system, which we call your accounting system. It's got to be done, folks, one way or another. And when it's done later, that's not only bad things happen. Only bad things happen. Because it's not just, like I said yesterday, or the day before. Yesterday, I interviewed my friend Beth. But now I forgot what I was saying. So, okay, thank you, Beth. Let me try to back up. Now I remember. Thank you, Beth. It's not because you need your taxes done. Yeah, that's another reason. You need your taxes done. So, and that's why, unfortunately, folks, at some point, you have to have this information. Now, you could lay awake at night, like I know everybody is, saying, I wish there was some way for somebody to just take this off my hands. I wish there was some way that I wouldn't have to worry about this stuff. And there is. And I'm going to share that with you. That doesn't relieve you of the need to understand why it's being done. And then once it's done, to be able to look at the information and figure out what the heck is going on with your business. Because that's where the gold is, the information, the stuff that you're doing. That's like, if you were Columbo and you had to solve the mystery of a murder, he's going to put together all the pieces and play it backwards. So if you want to look at your business and say, how come I'm losing money? How come I'm not making as much as I should be? All the information is there. It's in the numbers. And what needs to be done is the numbers need to be compiled correctly into an order so that you can look at your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement, not when it's time to do your taxes. You should be looking at this all the time. All the time. It should be part of your routine. If it's at least on a weekly basis, looking at your financials. Who owes me money? Who do I owe money to? What is my cash flow? Now, this might seem like, oh my God, the end of the world to you. And I think I'm almost over. I don't want to go into somebody else's time on the Facebook Live, but what I'd like to do is invite you to book a chat with me. I'll continue this. My solution, a lot of times I've been talking about waveapps.com, and I am going to introduce QuickBooks Online, because some businesses are beyond using Wave apps. So if you have any questions, have any comments, post them in the chat, and I will get back to you. All right, over and out. Have a great weekend. God bless. Thank you.